The good news is there's only one more episode of The Acolyte to go. The bad news is episode 7 was probably the worst out of all of them. It's so insane what they did here. It's really crazy that it's an 8-episode show, and 2 of those episodes are filler backstory that cover the exact same event. I am not lying about this. This is what the episode was. Another backstory episode before the, I guess, final one. And it's just a jumbled mess at this point. I don't even know how they can wrap this stuff up because nothing makes any sense whatsoever. The Sith guy is still completely unexplained. There's no character development, really. We are just, again, a backstory episode right in the middle. It's like in comic books when it's like the artist needs to take a break. And so they have a fill-in arc real quick with a fill-in artist who's usually never as good. And so those filler issues never feel right, except for you don't need that here. There's no artist who needed to have a break here. It's just something that just keeps going. We'll get into this in just a moment. My name's John Delarose, everybody. I'm a #1 best-selling science fiction author, and this is my book, Justified, Saga of the NanoTemplar. If you like what Star Wars could be, you should check out this trilogy. It's going to be exactly for you. You will absolutely love this, and I'll have it in the description below. It's an ebook, print, and audio for your enjoyment. All right, so episode 3 of this series was a backstory where it explained what Osha and May were. They were from the planet of the lesbian witch coven. Fortunately, we didn't have to hear them sing a song again about the power of many. This one was just redone, and a lot of the same shots were redone. A lot of the same scenes were redone. It was exactly a cut for cut. like they needed to really just reuse like 20 minutes out of the 40 minutes of this from exactly the episode before, but they spun another narrative out of it because the episode 3 one, apparently we were just lied to as an audience. And that's really bad storytelling. We're watching something transpire, and we're watching a story, and we're not watching it just from like the Asian dude's perspective or anything like that, or Osha's perspective. It jumps around. So this is like a story's unfolding. And so episode 3 was just not actually really what happened. It wasn't the full story. They just left shit out so they could redo it again as episode 7. I'm dead serious. I can't believe, I am shocked that they did this. So now we have 2 backstory episodes that are the same episode where it just kind of happens a little differently to explain who Osha and May were, and we still really don't understand anything. It actually makes less sense now that they've, quote, explained it. Now, in the 3rd episode, I actually thought that the Jedi were there, like watching them and monitoring them for some time, getting to know them, that the Asian guy took a real interest in them because he'd been following them for a while. That's how it was kind of presented. But no, he had just shown up. He just found out, oh, they're kind of Force users, and he had some weird attachment to her anyway, where he just wanted to get her out of there after spending like just a few minutes with her. And then she just wanted to become a Jedi magically, even though she like hadn't interacted with Jedi before. There wasn't some big backstory where like she'd kind of known them and seen them before. She just showed up and was like, oh, cool, sounds cool to be a Jedi and leave this place I've known my entire life. So again, the character motivations now make 0 sense because of the, quote, explanation. But it gets even crazier as it goes along through this plot. So they start watching these girls. They realize they're lesbian space witches out there, and they go confront the lesbian space witches, of course, which we saw in the episode prior. The Padawan of the white woman here is a angry Anakin type who just wants to go back home to Coruscant. He hates it out here. And so the lesbian space witches get in his head, and the woman here bosses everybody around, and she's always right, and they're always everybody else is always rash and wrong, and she's actually the only one. She's the ultimate girl boss through this entire episode too. It's painful to watch on that level. Now, eventually, her little Padawan in the back corner there learns that the midi-chlorians or whatever, they kind of changed the terminology here in this episode, but that's what they were implying, were exactly the same in both Osha and May. And that can't be because even when there's 2 twins, they would still kind of have a different profile of that, apparently. And so they were artificially created, which we already knew. And we knew they were artificially created. I mean, there's no dudes here. It's lesbian space witches. And they were going to take that information back to Coruscant because they like split one life into two somehow and in some nonsensical way. And so he was going to run back off to Coruscant. Asian guy hunts him down. We get back into some of the episode 3 stuff where it's like, it's already happened. And Asian dude decides to then break in and just rescue the girls from these lesbian space witches because he's seen some weird stuff with them, and he wants to take them with him. So I'm not supposed to... I don't quite understand what the Jedi are at this point. Are they child protective services running around just taking people out there? There's a message of like the lesbian space witches yelling at them going, hey, this is their family. We don't want like them to be taken off by some institution. Very interesting because that's like kind of a weirdly right-wing concept of like wanting to homeschool your kids and not have them go off to the institution. Like the lefties usually like oppose that. They try to force you into the institution, which is weird because the Jedi are definitely presented as the bad guys for doing this here. This is like the big takeaway of this entire episode. The Jedi are the ones who screwed up. They're bad guys. They're rash. They're ripping kids away from their families. They are just doing bad things for no apparent reason. And that's exactly what went on through this. Now, a battle ensues because the black lesbian turns into like this smoke thing, and when they do that, they're messing with your mind, I guess. And so when she does that, the Asian guy just stabs her with his lightsaber and kills her. And that sets off all the lesbian space witches. So he was the aggressor. And then once they get into a fight with the other lesbian space witch, he refuses to fight her. So it's like, well, wait a minute, you just stabbed the other one for no... I mean, like, why are you refusing to fight this one? Doesn't make any sense again. Like, the Jedi just have no sort of, like, standards, no way they act. Like, the characters make no sense. And it just, again, this is the whole thing that's happened with this whole show. Like, Leslye Headland just wants this plot to happen, and, like, you know, sense be damned, characters be damned. It doesn't matter. It's going to happen this way. And I still don't, like, understand the point of all of it, because this was just, again, a retelling of the 3rd episode. And so he killed her. They fought. The lesbian space coven mind-controlled the Wookiee to try to fight the Jedi off. And while they were doing so, they were like holding hands in like some seance thing while the Jedi were fighting. Now the fight scene between the Asian guy and the Padawan and the Wookiee was okay, and that was actually, I was entertained. Yeah, and I know his name's Soul, and it's on my screen right here. I mean, honestly, there's nothing to these characters other than the woman, the Asian guy, the Wookiee, the angry young white man. You know, I mean, it really is reduced to that in this, and that's why I'm doing that, because I think it's funny. But that was okay. So there's like 5 minutes of fight scene that like I was like, okay, actually, it was entertained for 5 minutes. I'm gonna give it that. Those 5 minutes I enjoyed, and I thought this fight scene was better than episode 5. I had fun with it. So kudos to doing one thing right in this entire show. But the lesbian space witches at that point out, they're all holding hands, and like as they are mind controlling, the white woman shows up, and of course she is the only one who can rip the Wookiee out of his like mind control, because the other guys are too stupid and they just fight, right? And so she has to take charge as the girl boss, takes down the Wookiee because she's so much better than them after they almost die. And then when she rips them out of the mind, the lesbian space witches just remain locked inside the burning stone building, which still doesn't make sense in this episode either. And they just all collapse together, like as they like get ripped out of their seance and get passed out, and the Jedi just leave them there to die. So I'm confused because the witches are so stupid. They just sit there in a burning building and just let themselves, I guess, asphyxiate. I still am not clear how they died. And the Jedi are so such a-holes. They know that they're in there, trapped in there. They've mentioned it, actually, and they just leave them to die. And then they grab they run in to go grab Osha and May instead, ignoring them. End up grabbing Osha because May's gone. Take her back to the ship, and they're like, well, what are we going to tell the Jedi Council? And that's it. So this was just the episode retold. The media calls it a dark secret. It's going to be revealed. I mean, it's just their incompetence is revealed. And the fact that the Asian guy is just obsessed with, I guess, taking Osha and grooming her. I mean, that is that the takeaway here? And I don't know why, because he really only interacted with her for a few minutes. It's not like he was there watching her grow up or whatever, helping her, assisting her. No, he just he decided. I guess I don't know. This is Leslye Headland, and she is Harvey Weinstein's assistant. So I guess you're right what you know, right? Old man walks in, decides he wants a girl, decides he's going to take her no matter what the cost. That's I guess it's a right what you know situation. And that's what the Jedi are now. A bunch of Harvey Weinsteins in space. So this is the worst episode yet. My God. And that's my review. I can't believe they did this. I really can't. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure to check out Good Sci-Fi that actually has a good story, beginning, middle, and end. Justified, that's in the description below. Thank you guys for reading. We'll be back soon.